Most people who go to Patagonia come back saying the same thing. Not, it was beautiful, not, it was worth the trip. Instead, they say, I need to go back. I didn't have enough time. And after helping people plan trips there and going ourselves, we get it. This part of the world genuinely does not look real. Glaciers calving into lakes, granite spires that go straight up into clouds, coastlines where the wildlife outnumbers the people by about 1,000 to 1. Welcome to Optimized Travel Destinations. My name is Ricky, and I'm part of the Optimized Travel team. We help travelers plan amazing trips through our concierge service, and our team has worked together to list the absolute best places Patagonia has to offer. There are the 10 best places to visit in Patagonia, covering both Argentina and Chile. I'll be counting down from 10 to 1, so make sure you stay for number 1. It's the reason this whole region is on every serious traveler's bucket list. We start our countdown with Chiloé Island. And look, Chiloé is not what you expect from Patagonia. There's no glaciers, no granite towers, no dramatic peaks. Instead is something weirder and honestly more memorable. Chiloé is an archipelago off the Chilean coast, about 1,200 kilometers south of Santiago. It's been cut off from the mainland long enough to develop its own culture, architecture, and very specific mythology. The palafitos are the image everyone knows. These colorful wooden houses built on stills directly over the water. At low tide, they sit in the mud. At high tide, they float. There's an entire neighborhood of them in the main town of Castro, and they look exactly like a postcard. The wooden churches here are UNESCO listed, and what I find amazing is that they were built without a single nail and are still standing after 400 years. You don't need to know the history to find them impressive. Just stand in front of one. But here's the thing about Chiloé that sticks out with me: the mythology. Just ask a local about the Calafate, which is the ghost ship that appears in the fog and takes the dead out to sea. They won't tell you it's a legend. They'll tell you their neighbors saw it last winter. Indigenous folklore here isn't a museum exhibit. It's just how people live. Next up is the Península Valdés. Now, there's a beach on this peninsula where orcas deliberately throw themselves onto the shore, on purpose, to catch sea lion pups in the surf. Now, it's one of the maybe 3 places on Earth where this happens regularly, and it happens here every January like clockwork. Península Valdés is on the Atlantic coast of Argentine Patagonia, a flat, windswept peninsula that looks from the air like not much. But get closer, and it's one of the most concentrated wildlife areas on the planet. Southern right whales come here in September and October to give birth in the sheltered bays. And megalonic penguins nest in burrows across the cliffs. I've walked right through a colony, and they don't even look at me. Elephant seals haul themselves onto the beaches and just stay there for days. Guanacos graze on the cliff tops above the ocean. You won't find surf schools, beach clubs, or cocktail bars here. Just wildlife doing what it's been doing here for thousands of years. September to December is the best time for whale watching, January for orca behavior, and year-round for penguins and sea lions. Next up, we're heading to Bariloche. The first thing people say when they see Bariloche for the first time is, why does this look like Switzerland? And honestly, it kinda does. Mountains, lakes, wooden architecture, and a chocolate obsession that this city takes very seriously. You did not expect that in Argentine Patagonia, and yet, here it is. Bariloche sits right on the southern shore of Lake Nahuelhuapi, and the lake is extraordinary. Deep blue, surrounded by mountains, and the kind of light in the late afternoon that makes everything look painted. In winter, Cerro Catedral is one of the best ski resorts in South America. Good snow, real vertical, and nothing like the steep prices you'd pay in Europe. Then in summer, the same mountains fill up with trekkers and cyclists, and the lake becomes the center of everything. I'd recommend the Circuito Chico if you're there. It's a half-day scenic loop around the lake. Drive it in the late afternoon when the light is low. And the chocolate. Genuinely, don't skip the chocolate. The shops on Mitre Street have been making Swiss-style confectionery for decades. There's an annual chocolate festival in April. It's a whole thing. And continuing our countdown, we arrive at Punta Arenas. This is the southernmost city of any real size in the world. It sits right on the Strait of Magellan in the far south of Chile, and it has the history to match the location. Now, the Cerebron Cemetery sounds like a strange thing to put on a travel list, But trust me, go anyway. Cypress trees, marble angels, and graves in a dozen different languages make for a stunning sight. Today, Punta Arenas is a real working city. It has better restaurants than you'd expect, a craft beer scene that punches above its weight, and a port full of expedition ships heading south to Antarctica. Walking through town, I find there's something that feels genuinely frontier about it. Like the city knows it's on the edge of the world and is completely fine with that. Then, 20 minutes by boat is Magdalena Island, which is home to 60,000 Magellanic penguins. They nest in burrows across the entire island and aren't bothered by human visitors at all. In October and November, the chicks are out. The number of penguins is just absurd. Moving on, we're heading to the Carretera Austral. 1,240 kilometers of mostly gravel road through some of the most remote terrain on Earth. No phone signal for most of it, no guardrails in a lot of it. And in some sections, you cross fjords by ferry, because there's simply no other way to get across. I think it might be the most dramatic drive on this planet. The Carretera Austral runs south from Puerto Montt. The further south you go, the rougher the road gets, the smaller the towns get, and the bigger the scenery gets. You can expect ancient temperate rainforest, hanging glaciers you can walk to directly from the roadside, and viewpoints over fjords with no guardrails. The towns along the way each have a reason to stop. Futaleufu has a tortoise river that's considered one of the best whitewater rapids in the world. Chaltén was partially buried by a volcanic eruption in 2008. Parts of the town are still there, under the ash, exactly as they were left. Most people drive it over the course of 7 to 10 days while heading south. This is my recommendation as the scenery gets better every single day. We're halfway through the list now, which brings us to Ushuaia. The city calls itself the end of the world. It means it literally. Ushuaia is the southernmost city on Earth, at the very bottom of Argentine Tierra del Fuego, with the Beagle Channel out front and the Marshall Mountains directly behind it. Antarctica is 1,000 kilometers south. There is nothing below but ocean and ice. The city has a frontier energy that the tourist industry hasn't managed to sand down yet. The port is full of real expedition ships heading to the Antarctic Peninsula for weeks at a time. You'll see scientists, researchers, and serious adventurers. Tierra del Fuego National Park starts 12 kilometers from the city center. The End of the World train, which is a narrow-gauge railway through the park, is theatrical and worth it. The trails along the Beagle Channel shore are beautiful and genuinely quiet. And now we're heading to El Calafate. El Calafate exists essentially because of the Perito Moreno Glacier, which is coming up next on the list. El Calafate is the town that you'll fly into to get to the glacier, and for a long time that's all most people treated it as, a base or a stopover. I find that it's worth a bit more than that. The town sits on the southern shore of Lago Argentino in Argentina's Santa Cruz province, one of the largest freshwater lakes in South America. It's fed by glacier meltwater and has a color that shifts between gray and electric blue depending on the weather. In the evenings, condors circle the cliffs above the water. I've even seen flamingos wade in the shallows on the edge of town. I didn't expect flamingos in Patagonia, and it was a nice surprise. The town has good restaurants, decent hotels across every price range, and a real working town feel underneath the tourism layer. There's even the Calafate berry, a bitter shrub that grows along the roadsides. Local legend says that whoever eats one will always come back to Patagonia, and most visitors test the theory willingly. I do recommend you fly directly to El Calafate, as the airport is 20 minutes from town, so it'll save you a very long drive. And now, Perito Moreno Glacier. No photo prepares you for this. None. The glacier is inside Los Glaciares National Park, about 80 kilometers from El Calafate. It is 5 kilometers wide at the face and 60 meters tall above the waterline. And unlike almost every other glacier on Earth right now, Perito Moreno is not retreating. In fact, it advances roughly 2 meters per day, grinding forward until the pressure builds and the whole ice dam it creates collapses into Lago Argentino. What happens every single day, though, is calving. Chunks of ice, some of them the size of buildings, break off the face and crash into the water below. You're standing on elevated walkways, no barrier between you and the glacier. You hear the crack first, then the roar, then the wave, then silence. And then you wait for it to happen again. You can also go onto the glacier itself, which I wholeheartedly recommend. Wearing crampons, there are 2-hour walking tours with a guide, and let me tell you, those blue crevices up close are something else entirely. Moving on, we're heading to El Chaltén and Mount Fitz Roy. Runner-up for the best place to visit in Patagonia is El Chaltén, a village of about 1,500 people in the northern section of Los Glaciares National Park, 220 kilometers from El Calafate. It's small, it's at the end of the road, and every single trail starts from within walking distance of the main street. It's one of the best trekking bases in the world. The reason people come here is Fitz Roy, a granite spire that goes 3,400 meters straight up. You've seen it on the Patagonia clothing logo, and seeing it in person immediately explains why they chose it. The Laguna de los Tres Trail is the main one. It's 4 hours each way, and the view at the top is Fitz Roy above a glacial lake with snow on the rim. That's the image. That's what everyone's going for. Serra Torre is the other trail. Even more vertical, even more extreme. The trail to its base takes about 2 hours from town and passes a lake full of floating ice. You don't need to be a climber to understand why this mountain matters. You just have to look at it. In the evenings, for about 15 minutes before the light disappears, the peaks go orange and then deep pink. Photographers plan their entire Patagonia trip around those 15 minutes. You'll see why when you're there. Before we get to number 1, and if you've been watching this list, you already know what it's going to be. I want to talk about planning. Because Patagonia sounds incredible on a list, and it is, but it's also a genuinely difficult trip to organize. The distances are real. El Calafate to El Chaltén is 3 hours by road. Punta Arenas to Torres del Paine is another 2.5. Flights into the region book out months ahead, and the weather can close trails for days with no warning. Getting the logistics wrong doesn't just cost you time, it costs you the trip. That's exactly what we help with at Optimized Travel. We build custom Patagonia itineraries, both Argentina and Chile, with the routing, accommodation, and timing sorted properly by people who actually know how this region works, not someone who just Googled it. Link is in the description. Visit optimizedtravel.com and let us take the planning off your plate. Now, number 1. The number 1 destination in Patagonia is Torres del Paine. The park is at the southern end of the Chilean Andes. It has 3 granite towers rising 2,800 meters from the Patagonian Plateau, where glaciers feed into lakes that are an impossible electric blue. You'll see condors at eye level if you're high enough on the trail. The classic route that most visitors take is the W Trek. This is 5 days through the park's 3 main corridors. You'll see the base of the towers, the Val de France, and the Grey Glacier at the western end. It's a hike that truly defines the region. Then, the Cuernos del Paine, or the Horns, I believe are worth mentioning separately. These are dark, metamorphic rocks capped with lighter granite, visible from almost every angle in the park. When they reflect in Lake Peowe at dawn, it looks staged. It isn't. The wildlife is a big part of why Torres del Paine feels different. I have found that the guanacos here to be completely fearless. They'll stop in the middle of the trail and refuse to move until they feel like it. The park has a healthy puma population. You probably won't see one, but the guides in the southern sector sometimes do. The weather will genuinely test you. Sun, rain, hail, and a full rainbow in 20 minutes in the same spot. I would pack for everything. On bad days, the wind is strong enough to push you off your footing on the trail. On good days, it clears the sky to a blue that doesn't exist anywhere else. There is no destination in Patagonia, and honestly, not many destinations anywhere that earns the hype the way Torres del Paine does. One important thing to know, October to April is the best time for trekking, as the weather is still nice and it is the off-season. Make sure you book accommodation at least 6 months ahead. November and March offer better availability and trails are far less busy. So, there you have it, the 10 best places in Patagonia. From the ghost ships and stilt houses of Chiloé all the way to the towers of Torres del Paine. If you're planning a trip and want someone to sort the logistics properly, both countries, right timing, everything verified, that's what we do at Optimize Travel. Link is in the description. Tell us in the comments, Argentina or Chile? Which sides are you doing first? Subscribe for more travel guides like this one, and thanks for watching.